Govind Krishna Hari Om. Gopal Krishna Hari Om. 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 Govind Krishna Hari Om. Radharaman Hari Om. Gopal Krishna Hari Om. Radharaman Hari Om. Gopal Krishna Hari Om. Radharaman Hari Om. Gopal Krishna Hari Om. Radharaman Hari Om. Govind Krishna Hari Om. Gopal Krishna 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 Hari Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurudevaya Namaha. Samasta Jan Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om to everybody. Welcome to this series on Vedanta. Today is our first day. So today we'll see introduction to Vedanta, and then in subsequent weeks we'll see other topics as outlined by our dear Kofi Ji. I don't know where Kofi is right now, but I'm most probably in Accra. Welcome to you, Kofi, and to all the people of Ghana and to others who are listening in from Canada and various places. and Hari Om once more. Alright, so today we have to see Introduction to Vedanta. This is a very big word, Vedanta. And what exactly is Vedanta? Well, there are some technical definitions for Vedanta, and then there are some ordinary simple explanations for that word Vedanta. So, first definition for Vedanta is the end. Vedanam Anta means the end of the Vedas. The end of the Vedas. The end of the Vedas means Vedanta means. I don't know if you all are hearing me. When technical team seems to be nervous and running about here. You all are hearing? Okay. Okay. So, the end of the Vedas. End of the Vedas means what? So now see, these are, I'm going to tell everything in very simple form for those who are neophytes in this Vedantic science, so that if you get the basics clear, then things can be built. You know, when you get a good foundation on things, you can build nicely thereafter. Okay. So, Vedanam Antaha, iti Vedanta, end of the Vedas. And why is it called the end of the Vedas? Because the Vedas are, first of all, 4 in number, and each of the Vedas have 3 parts. The parts are similar. The first part is called as Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda means that part of the Veda that deals with all rituals, all sorts of different types of rituals with specific goals in mind. So you can do a ritual to make rain come. You see, you can do a ritual to get rid of plague. Perhaps we have forgotten the ritual to get rid of COVID. But you can do a ritual for almost anything. It's called Karma Kanda. Then, the second part of the Veda will have something called as Upasana Kanda. Kanda means portion, section, like that. Upasana, where all various types of spiritual practices on meditation, in other words, concentrating the mind on various things with the divine in mind. Upasana Kanda means getting closer to the divine, or sitting closer to the divine using any ordinary object. So here is where we have, for example, a murti. So we use the murti, which is made out of stone or wood or whatever, but we concentrate on it, we superimpose divinity on the murti, and then we use that to now concentrate on the divine, like that. Upasana Kanda, this is the basis of the whole thing. And the last part of the Veda will consist of little, small, tiny little texts like this. Some of them with 20 verses, some with many more, couple hundred, but small compared to the rest of the Vedas. Very small. It is called as Jnana Kanda, the portion on knowledge. So that Jnana Kanda, the portions, little portions at the end of the Vedas on knowledge, that is called as Vedanta, because it comes at the end. Vedanam Anta means the end of the Vedas. So this is the first meaning of Vedanta. Okay. Sometimes you hear also Vedanta is called as Upanishads. So, what is Upanishad? Well, those same little philosophical portions at the end, they have this very wonderful name. It is called as Upanishads. So, among the Upanishads, you will be knowing some of the very famous names like Kathopanishad, Kena Upanishad, like that. Brihadadanyaka Upanishad and all, Chandogya Upanishad, Ishavasya. These are all the little ones that come at the end of the Vedas. So really, those that come at the end of the Vedas are given a name. They call as Upanishads. And now what is the subject matter of those Upanishads? It is the philosophical portion dealing with the absolute reality. And most important, dealing with the absolute reality and my oneness with that reality. This is the most important point in the Upanishads. It is my oneness with that absolute reality. If that last part is missed, thinking about the absolute reality, reflecting on the absolute reality, writing about the absolute reality, speaking about absolute reality, that is just subject matter for PhD. It is nothing else more than that. You can do that and get a PhD. But that is not the point of the Upanishads. The point of the Upanishads at the end of the Vedas there is to establish one's oneness with that absolute reality. It is called as tadatmya vishayam jnanam. Tadidam mukti sadhanam. Bhagavan Shankaracharya has written a very nice verse in his Vakya Vritti about this Upanishad and the subject matter of the Upanishad. What is that? Let me tell you that. It says, Tattvamasya divakyotham yad jiva paramatmanoho tadatmya vishayam jnanam tadidam mukti sadhanam. This Upanishad, end of the Vedas, is really for us to establish our identity, tadatmya vishayam jnanam. And this is mukti sadhanam. It is the practice that we are supposed to engage in order to get mukti. And in those Upanishads, there are Tattvamasya Vakyotham, there are those Mahavakyas. And Mahavakyas are supposed to be reflected on. And in the Mahavakyas, what is given? Means great statements of those Mahavakyas. What is given there? A very simple thing. Jiva Paramatmanoho Aikyam. That is what is given. The oneness between Jiva and Paramatma. Now, this is the subject matter of Upanishads. This is the important point in Upanishads. The last portion of the Vedas. And that last portion called Vedanta is our subject matter for this series. Vedanta. Okay, Veda Antaha. Vedanam Antaha. Now, this Vedanta is given for a particular purpose. And exactly what is the purpose? You see, everything in life is purposeful, especially something which we develop. We develop this watch. We do it for a purpose. If we go searching for the El Dorado, we do it for a purpose. It is not just that we just go searching because we just like to search. Nobody does. We go searching, it is for a purpose. So if the rishis delved deeper into the Prakriti and into the nature, into things, and discovered this Vedanta, it was for a purpose. So now let us think a little bit. If we went searching for deeper things, what was the purpose behind the mind of the rishis? Those who delved deeper into the subtle things of the world and discovered this Vedanta. What was the purpose behind their mind? Well, that is a very simple thing. And all this is part of now introduction to Vedanta. Now see, what is the real reason behind the discovery of Vedanta? That we have to think. And the whole search can be summed up in one word, which is the reason why Vedanta was discovered. One single word is the reason why Vedanta was discovered, why the rishis searched deeper, why human beings search deeper. And that word is called as dukkha. Now, we don't want to sound all the time, melancholy. These Vedantic people, whenever they come in front of the screen, all they talk about dukkha, dukkha, dukkha. Well, there was one avatar which one avatar after Lord Krishna is called as Buddha. The Buddha, actually, to speak about dukkha only, it is dukkha which made him become Buddha. You know? Sarvam dukkham dukkham sarvam kshanikam kshanikam, he used to say. Dukkha means sorrow. And we don't pay attention to, actually, this is a very common trait of human beings. The most fundamental and basic thing, we don't pay attention to that. Like, for example, breathing and the air which we take in. If somebody else did not tell us at a certain time in our life that you're breathing in air, because we cannot see air, we breathe like this, the air comes in. This is the most fundamental thing for life, Pran. But we are not aware. Nobody is aware. And only when you start studying some Vedanta or some yoga, something, then they talk about breathing, and then you become aware of your breathing and all. So the most fundamental things always in life is like this. We always miss the most obvious. This is a trait of human beings. See, there's a nice story of a security guard in an automobile factory. His job at the entrance and exit, his job was to check all vehicles going out of that compound, because workers used to steal parts. The worker will hide his little part in his trunk, or hide it inside under his seat or something, and take it out of that factory. So when they came to the gate, the security guard will check their trunk and check inside their car and all that to make sure that they have not stolen any parts from the automobile factory. One particular worker was looking suspicious every day. He's exiting, and this guard is searching thoroughly his car and could not find what he was stealing. After 5 days of the same thing, there was a big news bulletin. He had stolen 5 cars. He drove the entire car out, and this fellow is searching inside of the car to see what he has stolen. So the most obvious thing he missed. And this is a trait of human beings. So in the very same way as we miss our breath, we don't think about breathing and air and all of these things, the thing which is most essential for life, we miss it. In the very same way, we miss a most essential fact, that human beings are driven more by sorrow than any other thing in this world. It is sorrow that drives us. There is a wonderful phrase which says the propelling force behind a human being, that which moves a human being, is called as sukha prapti or dukkha nivritti. Please listen to this. Sukha prapti means the acquisition of sorrow. But if you think about the acquisition of sorrow, why do you want, acquisition of happiness, sukha prapti. Why do we want to acquire happiness? Sukha prapti. Think of the phrase, Sukha prapti, the acquisition of happiness or the pursuit of happiness. Why? Because the only reason why we will want to pursue happiness, acquire happiness, sukha prapti, is what? Because we are in dukkha. So the corollary of that statement is dukkha nivritti. Or the other side of that statement is dukkha nivritti, means the relinquishing or the escaping of from sorrow. And really speaking, if there is a rationale for sukha prapti, the rationale is dukkha nivritti. It is to get rid of sorrow. And it is this one single thing which drives a human being. We are all the time trying to get rid of sorrow. If there is any rationale for acquiring happiness, it has to be this only, the removal of sorrow. So we are engaged in a perpetual escapist life. Please pay attention to this. We are engaged in perpetual escapism. What? Trying to escape sorrow. Now, perpetual means what? That has no end. This thing has no end. It will go on and on and on. So the rishis really ponder on this very what you call catch-22 position of predicament of a human being. They ponder on this predicament of a human being. He is all the time running away from sorrow and happiness. The nature of this Prakriti is, this nature in which we live, the world in which we live, the nature of the Prakriti is happiness eludes us eternally also. So look, we are in a perpetual escapist mode, trying to escape sorrow, and the happiness which we are in pursuit of, that is elusive. It eludes us eternally. Because you see the life, how the human being lives. He thinks, after the next stage, I will be happy. You know that. I've told this story so many times. He said, in preschool, I'll be happy in primary school. In primary school, I'll be happy in high school. In high school, I will be happy when I go to university only, I think. When I'm in university, I think I'll be happy when I graduate. When I graduate, I think I'll be happy when I get married. When I get married, I think I'll be happy when I have children. When I get children, I think I'll be happy when these children grow up and get out from the house. So when is a people take that, see, happy means when I reach the next stage I'll be happy, and he realized all of this is elusive. He's never happy in that stage. He wants to go to the next stage again, and he takes that all the way to the grave. When I'm dead and I'm buried, then I'll rest in peace. And that also, he can't rest in peace there also. And therefore we have nice phrases in English. Was he turning in his grave? Have you heard? They also are not resting in peace. What rest in peace? So this happiness which he is in pursuit of is also elusive. Now what a quandary. He's eternally running away from sorrow, running after happiness, and happiness is elusive. This is a quandary. Right? A real position the human being has found himself in. And the rishis ponder on this problem very deeply. What a situation. And let me tell you something. In this search, right, he's running away his whole life from sorrow, running towards happiness, and the happiness is like a shadow in front. You know, if your back is towards the sun, your shadow is in front of you, right? And then you try to catch that shadow, then you will never catch. So his happiness is in front and eternally elusive, cannot catch it. When the human beings pondered on this problem over the many years and started coming up with solutions to this problem, we came up with all sorts of solutions. Please pay attention to this now. The species came up with all sorts of solutions and founded religions also based on this search. And what? And those religions also, what is given in? Oh, I am not happy now. I am miserable now. I am in search of happiness. But let me do a lot of good things now, and I will, after all of this is over, this ordeal of life is over, I will go to a nice place that we call a heaven, and then there I will be happy because I will get to sit next to God. And we came up with all sorts of nice things, all sorts of nice, very fanciful solutions, and it's always hereafter. Have you seen? The human being has already this disease. What? He postpones his happiness to tomorrow, means to high school, to university, to after marriage, like that. After retirement, he puts his happiness in the next stage. Already he does that. Now, along comes religion, and instead of solving the problem, religion again postpones. When I go to heaven, there I will be happy. And there's no such thing. No such thing. You just tell. See, let us just forget about other people's religion. You just take our own religion. In Hinduism, it is said, you go to Swarga there, and it is sukham, happiness like anything. You just see the life of Indra and Agni and Vayu and all of them, then you will know what sukham. every so often, some Bakasur, some Mahabali, somebody will go there and they will beat them out and chase them and sit on their throne like this. Indra will go like from pillar to post like a vagabond. They're crying to everybody, please do something. I'm in this sorrow or something. You see, some Muni will go give him a sharp and he'll all sorts of things will happen to him. What sukha? For 1,000 years he'll be walking out like a vagrant somewhere. Have you seen that in Puranas? He king of Swargana, Indralok. Then. So where? And in other religions, same thing, Same thing means what? Look, listen here. I heard one fellow, he was telling on television, since he came on our national television, I'll tell you what he told. What is that? What he told? He said, in my church, there are 6,000 members. In heaven, a place is already reserved for me and my 6,000 members. He's telling his audience. Really? Then, when we go to heaven, we will sit on the left side of God. Because the right side is already occupied by Jesus. So we will sit on left side. You just think, if you stretch 6,000 people from here, most probably that teacher will be sitting next to God, and then his 6,000 disciples will, that thing will go like 5 miles down the road. 6,000 people. The fellow who is even 1 mile down the road, he will not be able to see God. Then he'll ask, but I was in the same church. How the second person can see God and I cannot see God? How he is so close and I am so far? Because if you put 6,000 people on the left side, imagine the last person down there, and he will ask immediately why I am so far. And if he asks that question, well, all strife, all struggle will start right immediately. Now what you will have there will be a great push now for equality of position. So all the things that we struggle here on earth for, what? Gender equality, racial equality, whatever equality we struggle with, now that will start in heaven. Because he will immediately ask, why I am so far, I cannot see God. Any idea of Swarga that you give, it will have all of these problems. So like this, we have found, putting off our happiness for the next stage. We put it now, not only next stage, from this world to another world also we have put it. This sort of thing, rishis never accepted this thing. That's why in Vedanta, the idea or the term which you have heard, Jivan Mukti, I have to become free, Mukta, right here, right now, while I am alive. But that is a qualification for Mukti or what? No such thing. So, on pondering this problem, all of these things were rejected totally. I'll go to Swarga. Next life maybe, or next loka, next janma, next loka or something, then I'll be happy. This postponing of happiness. So the rishis tackle this problem here head on. Take the bull by the horns. And this is a daring tradition, a very, very powerful tradition, which requires Purusharshava, Bhagavan calls Arjuna. Bull among men, the most powerful among human beings, the one who is ready to exert, to apply himself to the grindstone and exert, he will discover this thing in this life, and it has to be discovered while alive. So this is, in this search, what the rishis did. And that's why the rishis are respected so much. They took the bull by the horns and made that search and discovered what Bhagavan Shankaracharya or the Upanishads are telling about that oneness between the Jiva and Paramatma, and that they call as Mukti. So that is the only way to acquire this happiness, which is so elusive. And the wonderful thing about this happiness is, Kabir Sahib has written at one place, he says, कस्तूरी कुंडल बसे, मृग ढूंढे बन माही, ऐसी घटी घटी राम बसे, दुनिया देखो नाही. That the musked deer gets this wonderful scent of musk and runs all over the forest looking for this musk, this nicely scented musk. And that thing is hanging right on the side of its neck. But its eyes see this way and its eyes cannot turn. Like, for example, you cannot see your chin. So right here, the musk is hanging in two little sacks like that and has a very nice scent. And the deer is getting this scent and running all over the forest looking for it. He says, Aisi ghati ghati Rama basai. Rama, that absolute Satchidananda Rama, is there in everybody's heart, is one's own self, but we are looking outside. So like that, the human being goes on looking outside. So the wonderful thing about Vedanta is the happiness which we are searching for, it tells, yeah, it is not outside. You are carrying it and looking for it. What a peculiar position. You are carrying the thing and looking for it. So, the lovely thing about Vedanta in the end is we don't find anything outside. We don't find anything there or some other place. Kashi, Vrindavan, Mathura, ityadi. No. We find that thing which we are looking for in our own self. And if we polish that statement a little bit more, see the statement, the thing which we are looking for, we find it in our own self. That statement can be polished even further. And the rishis did. It is not that we find it in our own self. The thing which we are looking for, which is happiness, is our own self. Not that we find it in our own self. It is our own self. My nature, that is why we chant, all the time. Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. It is my own self. So this is the end of Vedanta. When I find my own self. And see what a seemingly contradictory statement. To find my own self. How I'll find my own self. I am what I am. But we have to come up with all of these statements because I have really looked out for such a long time and forgotten myself. So I have to come home, to Om, as we say. Now, this is the rationale for Vedanta. Very simple. What is it? The purpose. There must be a purpose. And the purpose or the rationale is, I am eternally in sorrow and I am eternally looking for happiness. So Vedanta now is this wonderful program which is laid out by the rishis for me to just realize my own self. Now, any program will have the rudiments laid out and then it will have stages. Otherwise, what program it is? It will have the rudiments laid out and then it will have stages and development and progress and the eventual goal, isn't it? That's how our program is laid out. So, the rishis start from the very basic things in Vedanta, start from the very basic things and move slowly towards one realizing one's own self and not going here to heaven or realizing something outside or any such thing. Those basic steps really now is the introduction to Vedanta. So first, the rationale. First, of course, technically, what is Vedanta? And the rationale for Vedanta. Then, now the basic steps towards realizing one's own self. The basic steps are given very nicely in little phrases in the Upanishad, in the Vedantic texts, and now I will tell you those basic steps. Okay. There is this wonderful program laid out, and the program is designed for us to come home to Om. And one thing before I continue. Many people think that all the basic little things, they are not important. That is not true. Actually, it is the little things in life that matter. Generally speaking, you hear people saying this all the time, no? It is the little things in life that matter. You can sit on the tip of a mountain, but you cannot sit on the tip of a pin. You try. The little things in life matter very much. See, you try to sleep in a room with one mosquito. Then you will know one little mosquito is enough to disturb your whole 6 or 8 hours of sleep. And you can catch him also. So now, these little things in Vedanta, in the rudiments, the beginning portions, they are very important. What we have to do is take time to culture them, develop them in our life. And now I am going to tell those rudiments of Vedanta, which comes in many of the Vedantic texts. So, what exactly are these rudiments? And then we'll see their meanings. First of all, in Vedanta, we have to develop what is called as sadhana chatushtaya. Sadhana means spiritual practices, and chatushtaya means 4. The 4 spiritual practices. Means. Sadhana would mean means also. 4 spiritual means. If you're going to go to London, the means to get there is a flight. Nowadays, in the old days, you use a sailboat or something. Now you use a plane. And now in COVID, you can go. You just have to stay put. But anyway, anything you have to achieve, there has to be some means. So now the means for realizing one's self starts here. Sadhana chatushtaya, the 4-fold qualification, sometimes it is called. That I have to have these at my disposal. I have to have these, I have to imbibe these 4, and it qualifies me to reach myself. To reach where? Home. And when we say reach, it's no reaching, because you're home already, where you will be. You can't be out of yourself, you see. So all these words have to be understood. Anyway, what are these 4-fold means? See, now it is called as Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadi Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. But there's a trick in these 4. What is the trick in the 4? Number 3 is actually 6. Like I said, 1, 2, 3. 3A, B, C, D, E, F, like that. Number 3 has 6. This is a trick. So totally how many now? 9. Well, that is a good sales pitch, you know. If you want somebody to study, I know people don't like to study. Okay, we only have 4 things to study. So if you tell him you have 9 things to study, 9? Too much. It's too much for him. He says, no, my mind cannot study this 9. So what you do? You make 4 only. 4. 4. 4 sounds better. But number 3, you stick in 6 of them. A, B, C, D. Anyway, now let me tell you what is this. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadi, Shatka Sampatti, and Mukshutva. These are the 4. So one has to equip oneself with these 4. And now these are the rudiments of Vedanta. The first is called as Viveka, means discrimination. To discriminate between that which is Nityantya Vastu. Viveka means that which is permanent and that is ephemeral and passing, transient. One has to develop that. Then next one is called as Vairagya. Vairagya means dispassion, detachment from all things in this world. Ihamutra, means from here and hereafter also. See, in beginning of Vedanta, it speaks about relinquishing the hereafter, because people's minds are always in tomorrow. My happiness will be tomorrow. My happiness will be when I get there. My happiness will be next stage. In the beginning itself, no. Relinquish all of these things about I will be happy tomorrow, or in Swarga, or I'll be happy when I move from Canada and go to the Caribbean, because Caribbean are nice and sunny place and beaches and all that, and I'll be happy there. I'll swing in a hammock between two coconut trees. You see all of these pictures, and I'll be happy there. When you go there, two sunfly bite you, you go back quickly to that other place, then you will realize. Because in the commercial, you don't see the sandfly. But in real life also, you don't see the sandfly until they bite you. Anyway, so vairagya, dispassion, detachment towards all things in this world. Detachment from all things in this world. Next one is called as Shamadi Shatka Sampattihi, sixfold wealth, which starts with Shama. Beginning with Shama, the sixfold wealth. Now, what is this sixfold wealth? The first is called as Shama. Shama Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha. These are the six. And I'll tell you what they are just now. And the last one is called as Mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is a burning desire for liberation. And what is the liberation? Every tradition in this world speaks about liberation. It is simply this thing which I told you in the beginning. Remember this one word. It is actually freedom from sorrow. This is called liberation only. Freedom from sorrow. And we can find many piecemeal solutions. I can be free from sorrow for a day or for a year, perhaps, more or less. But freedom from sorrow, when we say, we mean eternal freedom from sorrow, not just for a day or 1 year. And that also is impossible. You cannot be free from sorrow for a day also. Not possible in this Prakriti. Or free from sorrow for a year, even more far-fetched. You see? So, mumukshutva, may I be free. May I be free from sorrow. Now, we'll go back now and we'll see each one of these 4 in turns. Of course, 9 then. But so, viveka. Viveka means, I told you just now, nitya nitya vastu viveka means discrimination between what is permanent and what is impermanent. Now, our own self, which we are talking about, which is by nature sukha, Satchit Ananda, which is by nature bliss. That self is actually the Nitya Vastu. It is the thing which is permanent. All the other things are ephemeral and passing. Everything which we can witness, which I can witness in this world, everything which is known, everything which is objectified, that thing is passing. You just think it is coming and going. Look, you don't have to study Vedanta for this. You just ask the scientists. Ordinary science will tell you. Everything in the world is changing, isn't it? If this thing is changing, it means at this moment it is in one way, and the next moment it is different because it has changed. Means some atoms, some molecules, some things have fallen off, or some things have metamorphosized, some things have been added. Like, for example, right now it is like this. Next moment it collects 5 particles of dust from the air. Then it will become heavier. No, it had changed. Then you wash it. Then instead of those 5 particles washing off, 5,000 particles wash off. It is never going to remain the same the next moment. And everything follows the law in the universe also, which says that all things are decaying. So this is decaying or not? Yes, there's a built-in mechanism for decay in all things. So if it is decaying, then every moment it is decaying. So Like that, everything is changing. The whole observable universe is changing. But what about the one who is observing? The one who is observing cannot be changing. If he is changing, then you just think. If he is changing, then whatever is being observed at this moment, see, like I observe this at this moment. Okay, just think, I observe this at this moment. Then the next moment, I change. So I am a different person now. Then I would not have known that I observed this. Means in the next moment. Then since I change into another person, I will say, oh, I'm observing this again, second time. And if I keep on changing, there will be no memory of I observed that thing. Because I change into a different person. You know that. And now see, when you say that I observed my mother when I was a child, and now I am observing my mother, and why you go on saying it's the same person? How you remembered? I remember my mother looked like this when I was a child. Now she looks like this. Because you were there permanently observing. If you were changing, if I am a different person altogether, then the person who observed as a child will not remember anything, because now everything about me has changed. But there's one part of me which is not changing. Yes, my body and mind and all of that is changing, but there's one part of me which is not changing, which connects my present state now to my childhood state. And therefore I'm saying, I observed that when I was 10, and now I observe when I am 50. The I, that one part is not changing. That is called as Nitya Vastu, the unchanging part of my being. So to be able to discriminate between all changing things, and in this BMI also there's so much change going on, right? But there is a part behind the BMI, the substratum of the BMI, which is not changing. So to be able to sift out, separate between the two, that thing is called as Viveka. Now this thing has to be developed. People don't think along these lines. What people think about, oh no, when is COVID, the vaccine is going to come and I can go back and have pizza. I mean, go to there and sit and have pizza. People only thinking about those things. Means all the superficial things. What are Nitya Vastu Viveka and all, separating the chaff from the grain, or the real from the unreal, or separating the permanent from the transient. That type of thing people don't ordinary. You meet anybody on the bus and they'll talk this topic or what? They'll talk about next election or some other thing, isn't it? So this thing has to be cultivated and developed, a constant application of the intellectual might in separating real from unreal, permanent from impermanent, like that. So there is a permanent part of me which is not changing, though other things may be changing. So developing this power and developing this habit, they call it Viveka. Okay. Now what is the next one? Vairagya. Next thing has to be developed. And these are all the rudiments of Vedanta. Things that I must equip myself with. All the means I must acquire. So Vedanta is still coming down the road yet. These are just the qualifications. Very important things though. I told you the little things are very important. Otherwise down the road you will not understand anything. You will not grasp anything if these things are not developed. So second now is Vairagya. What is this Vairagya? Is here. Ihamutra phalabhoga rahita means free from any desire to enjoy anything here in this world or to enjoy anything in the hereafter. Means to say that I should have a total detachment from any enjoyment here or hereafter. That is the idea. So it means to say, Swamiji, I cannot just enjoy a nice meal. People say, no, I cannot enjoy a nice meal or enjoy a joke. Somebody tells a joke and you laugh like anything. no enjoyment whatsoever. No, 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 no. It's not like that. The Vedanta doesn't say, you must be all like a somber all the time, or kind of straight face, and you're like a stone. There's no enjoyment of anything, or there's no sorrow for anything also. No, no. Vedanta is just telling this thing. Look here. There is a misunderstanding in the source of your enjoyment. And so even if you are enjoying some nice thing in this world, make a correction in your understanding as to the source of your enjoyment. That is all. This is a very important thing. Now, I'm telling Vairagya, dispassion, at a very high level here. At a very ordinary level, Vedanta tells, or the Gita tells, that in this world, that all things are just the source of sorrow. All things in the world bring sorrow. You tell what thing you have gotten in this life and it has not brought sorrow. It will have sorrow of some sort. It may bring joy also, but it will have some sort of sorrow. So at ordinary level, if you think like that, roses don't come without thorns. Any joy you have gotten, that also brought sorrow. Please remember that. But now, at the higher level, to really let Vairagya sink in, one has to think deeper. And that is, the source of the happiness is not the thing. Things don't contain happiness. The source of the happiness is always oneself. See, this is a nice watch. It's true, eh? It's a very nice watch. When I saw it, I loved it. So, somebody saw my reaction when I saw it, and they realized I like it. So immediately they went and they got it for me. I really like it. Why? For a number of reasons. This watch is small, it is light, it is cheap, it is everything, and it tells the time correctly also. The most important, of course. And the most important quality of this watch, why I like it, this thing has no band to put around your wrist. So this is, when I saw it, I liked it so much. Now, when you see this cheap watch that is worth almost nothing, you will say, what an ugly watch. That thing is, even if I am dead, I will not keep that on my wrist. I mean, the same thing that gave me happiness will give you misery. Even dead, you will not catch yourself wearing this. How it gave one person happiness and one person misery. But if this watch contained happiness, it should give happiness to me and to you also equally, isn't it? So then where was the source of the happiness? The source of the happiness was not the watch. The source of the happiness is my own self. I superimpose happiness on the watch and then run after the watch. That is the idea. Objects don't contain happiness. Objects are just all neutral things. They contain nothing. We superimpose happiness or misery on the thing. So if this is understood, I will develop Vairagya from this world very fast. Why? Because I get attached to things in the world and I run after them thinking that they possess happiness. Then I realize, oh no, the things don't contain happiness. I'm the source of happiness. Why I'll run after them then? So Vairagya can be developed at the higher level in this way also. Or at the lower level to realize that everything in this world comes with a cost, and the cost is sorrow. It may bring some happiness also. It may be a medium to evoke some happiness in me, that's true. But it also will come with all of its sorrow. You just think, you just have all of these words one by one, you'll have to think about them over and over. You take an example and you study this. But everything in the world will come with a cost of sorrow. Anything. See, in the old days, you used to walk from here to there. Point A to point B, you walk. You think it's taking too long. Then what you do? You make a bicycle. Forget bicycle. Before that, you ride on an animal. Well, sometimes you get kicked by the animal also. Or you fall off the animal. I know some Hollywood actor, he fell off his horse and he got paralyzed. Then? So, that going from here to there, you go faster now, faster than your own feet, but then there's a cost. Then you have to take care of the animal now also. Before that, you have to feed yourself only. Now you have to feed yourself and the animal. There's a cost or not? But who likes to go and feed animal every day? That is going to bring sorrow. So the cost is sorrow. You have to find a source of feed for the animal. First, you have to purchase the animal. Everything comes with a cost, and the cost is sorrow we don't like. You see, everybody likes dog in their house. Time to take care of the dog. Nobody wants to. The dog will bring happiness because a nice pet. Oh, nice. Here. Come, boy. Sit. Everybody likes to play and pat, and now to feed the dog, to bathe the dog, to walk the dog. Then you don't know who is walking who. The dog walks in front and drags the owner behind and all. Anyway, so just think, everything in the world comes with a cost, and the cost is sorrow. So it may evoke some happiness, but it comes with a cost. So at the ordinary level, this is how to develop vairagya. At the higher level, to think what exactly is the source of happiness, not the object. It is one's own self. Like this vairagya, this passion, detachment from the world will be developed. But lot of thinking. That's why viveka is given first. Lot of thinking, reflecting on real from unreal and permanent from impermanent. Lot of that has to be done. And it will lead to vairagya actually. If this is not developed, then what happens? We become we develop only passing interest in these type of topics. A passing interest in these type of topics is not going to bring any sort of mukti or any such thing, any liberation. Then I just become a scholar of scriptures. I can quote here, quote there. I know the scriptures very well and all that, but really it will not bring any mukti. Then I can write a PhD also and get some letters behind my name and those kind of things. That is not your goal. Okay, so now that is vairagya. Now the next, number 3, I told you, contains 6 wealths. It is called, they call us wealth. 6 wealths. And what is that now? Shamadama uparamati tiksha samadana shraddha. These are the 6. Now what is Shama? Shama in the scripture is told very simply, mano nigraha shamaha. Means the control of mind. Control of mind, it is called as Shama. Quietening the mind. Otherwise your mind is racing all the time, isn't it? We say our mind is racing. You say that? This is all topics, phrases you hear on a regular basis. My mind is racing, or his mind is racing. So the mastery of that mind is called as Shama. In other words, I should tell my mind what I should think at this moment. Otherwise, what the mind does, it races and rambles. Correct or not? So I should tell my mind, okay, now I'll think about this, and I'll not go here or there or any other place. I'll think about this thing. So that is mastery. Who is the master, me or the mind? Like that. So mano nigraha, the control of or mastery of the mind. Shamaha. Damaha, the next one. Dama. Damaha means chakshuradi bahendriya nigraha, means to say what? All the eyes and the 5 senses, to master them. So I should tell the eyes where to look. Otherwise, something is going on by the neighbor's house. Quickly, I am only looking there. The eyes go there. Or the ears, they want to listen to, instead of listen to some nice bhajan, Govinda Krishna Hari Om. Gopal Krishna Hari Om. But hey, those airs, they want to listen to Bhangra. Or Bhangra, whatever I call it. I don't know what the name of the music. He likes to listen to some hot chutney music like that. So the airs are like, I should tell, no, you listen to some nice mantra, it will bring peace. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. The mastery of all of the senses. Huh? Eyes, ears, nose, and tongue. This tongue, oh bapre. The tongue by itself is a whole lecture, you know. The tongue is the most powerful indriya in the human body because it has 3 indriyas. And tongue can taste, it can touch also, and tongue can also speak. It is called karma indriya. Speak. So 3 functions on 1 organ. Amazing, this tongue. So control of all of them. Bahendriya, all the external sense organs. Mastery of all of them. This is called as Dhamma. Shama Dhamma Uparama. Bhagavan Shankaracharya is very interestingly for Uparama. He says Swadharma Sthanam Eva. Uparama literally means withdrawal. Let me just tell you about this a little bit. Withdrawal. See, if I have mastered my mind and I have mastered my senses, really, I will withdraw from so many things in this world and I will concentrate only on what I am supposed to do. You just think about it a little bit. Otherwise, I am engaged in all sorts of things in this world, which really, see, whole day people go on talking about politics, right? Whole day I talk about politics. And I talk about this leader and that leader, and this leader is good for this country and leader is not good for the country. And really speaking, in all of that, you have zero influence. You can't do anything else. Only you could go and put your finger there and vote. What the leader should do, what the leader should not do, what he should have done, but all is your useless thing. If I just concentrate on what I am supposed to do this work, I'm supposed to be talking to you this morning. I'm talking to you. Do my work. And after that, if I like to play Scrabble, what is? Scrabble. If I like to play Scrabble, then I go and play Scrabble. That's my pastime. But all sorts of things people get engaged in. Go on and on and on. So, withdrawal will come really when I have mastered my mind and senses. And that withdrawal means I will withdraw into what I am supposed to be doing. Otherwise, I tell you, look here, I am not a doctor, but when somebody next to me gets sick, everybody becomes doctor. Suddenly, you meet the next person after this lecture is over. You meet the next person and they tell, I have a cold. Immediately they'll tell you the remedy. Everybody becomes doctor fast. Our Puja Guruji, when he was ill, he wrote to everybody, I am in this condition. And then in the bottom last line, he wrote there, please don't bring any medicine for me. Or everybody becomes doctor. Suddenly. So, we withdraw by mastery of the mind and senses, withdraw into our own duty, what I am supposed to be doing. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita wanted to pick up some other duty. What is that? Duty of sannyasi. Sannyasi just sit there and no other work. Sit there and meditate. He wants to do that. He wanted to do that. Because his mind was racing now, you see? Mind was racing. So Bhagavan has to bring that. Control yourself. Bring your mind here. What is the matter with you? And you remember what your duty is. This is called withdrawal from all of those things, and you bring your mind here. You are Kshatriya. Swadharma pachavekshya navikampitum arhasi. So many things Bhagavan teaches to Arjuna there. You bring your mind here and withdraw from all the other things which your mind is racing here and there. And that's called as uparama. And the next, you see, this uparama I have to develop and bring my mind and settle it in my own swadharma, my duties, what I am supposed to do and all. But that is why it's coming third. It requires the control of the mind and senses, first and second, shama and dhamma. Then uparama, third, titiksha, number 4. Titiksha means, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says there, shitoshna sukha dukkhadi sahishnutvam. Sahishnutvam is the word. Forbearance, to be able to bear. Sahana shakti, it is called. The ability to bear all little, our Puja Gurudev said, all the little pinpricks of life. Because this thing will prick you from here, this thing from there, that everything will come down and some people can't bear the slightest of things. If the electricity goes and the place becomes dark and the AC stops working, oh, Bapre, he feels that his sansar has come to an end. Jagat has come to an end. Life is finished. A little mosquito, a little sandfly, my whole life is over. I can't sleep, I will die. So he can't bear anything. And we have become so used to all the conveniences and all the comforts, and we have forgotten how to live. You know that? We have really forgotten how to live, how to survive. The human being has an innate, intrinsic ability to survive, but we have forgotten those things. So, Sahan Shakti, or the ability to forbear, requires that. Suppose tomorrow you are thrown into a situation where you have none of the conveniences and things which you have. To be able to very nicely bear it without any grudge or any grievance or anything. Okay, take hai, this is like this. Let me bear. And to maintain balance and cheerfulness of mind still. But to bear the little things in life. Otherwise, the world has lost. And you know, we have all subscribed to this very, very dangerous narrative which is perpetuated by media and all of that. Any little thing has happened in the neighborhood there, the media comes down there and paints this picture. It is so bad. It is like the world has ended. And we have all subscribed to that narrative. Life has, the vagaries of life is unpredictable. It will have this side will come and go, and it is like, you know, the ocean waves, and to have a flair about the personality, to be able to, okay, theek hai. It is there today, it may be there tomorrow, it may not be there. Let us see. That flair for life is lost because we are so consumed by all the conveniences and all the things around us. So, to bear the things when they come, things which I am not used to or things which I don't like, we have to bear. All little things in life. Okay, Sahan Shakti. And it says Shitoshna. The examples are given there for what? The pairs of opposites. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhadi Sahishnutvam. Hot and cold, or cold and hot, and Sukha and Dukkha. Dukkha. These are given as example for the pairs of opposites. So what it means to say, the ability to bear the pairs of opposite without having any grievances and complaints and all of that. Yes. Today it is like this, tomorrow it will be like that. It can go either side. Then, after titiksha, samadhana. Samadhana means, Bhagavan explains that actually, of course, literal meaning of words and what explanation is given is different. Literal meaning of samadhana means balance, or chitta ekagrata. Chitta ekagrata means to bring the mind to a state of concentration. And when that mind comes to a state of concentration, you see, the mind is on the positive side or on the negative side. This is what mind does, right? It goes from one extreme to the next. But Chitta ekagrata means bring it to the center. Center is the balance point actually. It's called samadhana. Bring it to a balance. This thing is not good because good and bad, they are relative. So to bring that mind to a point of ekagrata literally means single pointedness. But single pointedness is a state of balance actually. So that is how the samadhana word means a state of balance, equilibrium, like that. And here Bhagavan Shankaracharya in his introductory text, he says it's chitta ekagrata, the maintaining of the single pointedness of mind. And the last of number 6 of the 6, last of number 3, the sixth one, it is called as Shamadamopanatikshya Shraddha. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Vishwasaha iti Shraddha. It is Vishwasa. Shraddha and Vishwasa given as synonyms in this Tattvabodh. What is Shraddha? It is a firm belief in 3 things are given, but we'll have to add some more. Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu. 2 things are given. We have to add 2 more. Guru and Vedanta. You have to have belief, firm belief in the teacher. That what the teacher is telling me is exactly what is given in the Upanishads. Vedanta. The statements of the Upanishads. Then Ishvara. God. The substratum behind the universe. And one's own self. Faith or belief in one's own self. I can do it. So now see this 4, very important thing. Guru. In this world, we need a teacher even for the simplest of things. We need a teacher for the simplest of things in this world. He who doesn't have... So sometimes the teacher may not tell. The teacher doesn't have to tell. The teacher can show just by example. I'll give you a simple example. Look here. For all of you who are living in other countries, or for those people who are living in Ghana, they might have this privilege. But here in Trinidad, we have the privilege of picking coffee beans from the tree and cocoa beans for making chocolate. We have those rare privileges still here. Now look here. You can pluck coffee beans and cocoa beans from the tree. Okay? But to make coffee out of coffee beans is a process. And that process has to be learnt perfectly. Otherwise, what happens if you roast a coffee bean a little bit too much, it will taste like charcoal. And if that coffee bean is roasted too less, it will taste raw. You will not get the taste of coffee properly. Now, where that midpoint has to be learned from somebody. Then, otherwise you cannot get to proper coffee. Now, I'm telling this story because I learned that not because my grandmother said this is how you do it. I learned that just by watching, being with grandmother. So sometimes that guru, just by being there, we can learn from that teacher. And now, with regard to all things in the world, we need some teacher to show or to be the example. What to talk about this very subtle science of Vedanta? If there is no teacher, it's out of the question. You see? So we need this teacher to teach, and I must have firm faith that this teacher is now telling exactly what is there in the Vedanta, in the Upanishads. What is there in the Upanishad? All the Mahavakyas, which makes an identity between oneself and the absolute reality, which establishes the identity. Tadatmya Vishaya Jnanam. That identity between myself and the absolute reality. So, the teacher is teaching that. So, faith in that teacher and faith in not that he's teaching that. Second thing is that thing which is said in the Upanishad, that thing is correct thing. The rishis, really, those are the statements which have been discovered by the rishis, statements of truth. And if you study the life of the rishis who discovered these statements, you will realize that it cannot be anything else than what they have stated there. Because the rishis were the most selfless generation of human beings that ever lived. The most selfless. Rishis had no interest in forming groups and traditions and amassing disciples and building things so that we will get more numbers and raising funds, and no such thing. It was not there. So a person who has absolutely no self-interest in anything in this world, why he will want to deceive anybody? He will not deceive anybody, you see. So whatever is they have stated in Upanishads as their discoveries of the higher truths in this universe, that has to be absolutely true. So Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu, like this, absolute faith in these two. Then Ishvara, that there is a Lord and substratum of this universe. If I have no faith that there is any such thing, my progress forward will not happen. And lastly, faith also in my own self, that I can do this. Otherwise, many people have inferiority complex. So also the people are just simply complex. Simply complex is maybe a what is that? That is called a oxymoron. It's called an oxymoron. Simply complex. You cannot be simply. Anyway, you know what I mean. So I can do this. I'm going to take the bull by the horns, like that. Faith in myself that I can do this. I could study this Vedanta and reach its pinnacle. Okay. So this is now number 6 of number 3. Now the last one of 4, that is called mumukshutvam moksho me bhuyat. May I become liberated. And we say, how I become liberated? Not tomorrow, next week, this habit of putting off things is not good. I should become liberated here and now. The example is given of the guru taking the shishya's head and pushing it under water and holding him there and then releasing him after 2 minutes. Luckily he was still alive. Then he asked, when you were under that water, what did you want the most? He said, I wanted to breathe the most. He said, when you want mukti, moksha, liberation like that, that is called a mumukshutvam. That is the idea. Strong desire for liberation. That is called mumukshutvam. May I be liberated. So, these are the pre-qualifications which have to be cultured and developed in that individual before he becomes ready for the higher stages of Vedanta. So this is introduction to Vedanta with all the basic concepts and ideas. Now, he will now graduate to the next level where he has to do Shravanam, listening, Mananam, reflecting, and Nididhyasanam or meditation. And in that Shravanam, what will be taught? In Shravanam, the identity statements will be taught. What is the identity statements? They are called as Mahavakyas. Mahavakya means what? Statements that establish the identity between Jiva and Paramatma. Those are the Mahavakyas. They will be taught. That type of knowledge will be taught from the Upanishads, and the student will listen to that. He has to listen very, very carefully from the teacher. Then he has to go and reflect on that and remove all his doubts and ask questions and all that to the teacher if there are doubts, and so reflecting. And then after reflecting, he will come to the clear conclusion, yes, I am one with that reality. Clear conclusion. I am one with that reality. I have never been separate from that reality. I have never been separate from the Absolute. We have always been one. Then, after coming to that clear conclusion by that mananam, by that reflection, he has to go and sit and meditate on that clear conclusion, which is, I am Aham Brahmasmi, the Mahavakya says. I am that reality. It is not different or separate from me in any way. That meditation will cement or rivet that thought in the mind, and that person will exist only in that realization. I am one with that reality. I have never been separate from that reality. That nididhyasana or meditation is the final stage of Vedanta. Bhagavan Shankaracharya says in the Bhagavad Gita, in his commentary there, that there is no higher spiritual practice than this. Atma samstham manakritva na kinchidapi chinte. Bring the self, the mind, and place it in the Atma, and establish that oneness between the two, and don't think about anything else. And there is no higher sadhana. This is where Vedanta comes to an end upon that realization. Then all things drop off by themselves. So the Vedanta has this now process, starting with Viveka Vairagya, Shamadi Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam, and then Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Listening, reflecting, and meditation. This process has to be followed. And I told in the beginning, very, very careful everybody should be. People like to jump the line. Everywhere human beings like to jump the line, isn't it? No, I skip this and go straight over there. People like to skip things. But it will not work. You just think, suppose you are in grade 1 and you have to learn the rudiments of mathematics. Right? And you don't like grade 1. You jump to grade 2. So when you get to grade 2, the teacher is teaching with the presumption that you have already acquired the rudiments in grade 1, and then you will know what I am teaching here in grade 2. The teacher presumes that. Now when teacher teaches, you are looking there with a blank face, because you did not acquire the rudiments here in grade 1. Now when teacher is teaching here, you cannot catch anything. It goes over your head, becomes like a ceiling. So it is important that we follow very nicely the process. Don't try to jump the line and all of that sort of thing, and acquire all of these qualifications and go on smoothly, nicely, and do it. And don't worry about time and all that. You have enough time. There's enough time, enough everything. If we follow it really nicely, everything will fall in place. Always process, procedure. You know that. It is so important in every discipline. Process and procedure. You see, in medical field, if doctors don't follow procedure and something goes wrong, they're in trouble, you know. So follow the process, follow the procedure, everything will be fine. Okay? Alright, so these are the rudiments of Vedanta, introduction to Vedanta. Now, the other topics which are chosen, the evolution of Brahman, and one more topic I'll see. Difference between self and non-self. Those topics we will now go in depth in the next couple sessions, and we'll see where they fit into this whole Vedanta. But today I gave you a sweeping view of this whole Vedanta. The rationale for Vedanta also is very simple. You remember this. The rationale for everything in the world, the rationale for Vedanta is dukkha nivritti, the relinquishing or escaping of sorrow. Dukkha nivritti, or the cessation of sorrow. This is the driving force of all activities of human beings. And this Vedanta is the permanent solution. Every other solution which we have found many solutions. This cessation to make sorrow cease. But they are all temporary, piecemeal solutions. And human beings are not satisfied with a temporary or piecemeal solution. Vedanta is the permanent solution. Okay. All right. I will stop here now. And now time is gone. I have about 8 minutes if anybody wants to ask any questions. Is it possible? If anybody wants to ask any questions in these remaining minutes, I will try to answer. Don't ask me any hard question. Ask easy questions. Huh? Yes. Viveka is there? Viveka, if you can unmute yourself and ask. Let's see. Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om.
If you mentioned that for one to acquire the knowledge of Vedanta or theory, one must have the Guru and also follow the teachings of Vedanta, Ishvara and everything. This question is how can one choose a Guru who can rightly teach a person?
Okay. Yes, it's a very common question which comes quite often. See, there is a very simple law in the universe, and the law is wherever, like, see, even if you take the air for instance, if you make this area here a vacuum, it means you take out the air and just leave it, air will rush back into that area to fill it, isn't it? Well, this is a wonderful principle that is there in the universe, and it governs all things really. If a person, human being, any human being, right, really starts reflecting on the deeper things in life, the subtler things in life, like for example, a simple thing, you don't have to be any scholar or anything. You go out and instead of passing by that flower plant every day, stop for a moment, look at the plant, think about it, wonder about the plant a little bit. You don't need teachers for this, As you pass by, you just go and start looking and start wondering. If you see a butterfly, what wonderful patterns are there on the wings of the butterfly. Means start making your interest more subtle and start thinking about subtler things. What will happen is that quality which you develop in yourself, that quality will attract from the universe resources that is going to further that quality which you're already developing. So you develop the quality, that quality attracts resources from the universe to help you further develop that quality which you have started to develop. This is how the universe works. In the very same way, I acquire some knowledge and some of the values which are given in scriptures, acquire some of them. Those things which we acquire and which we develop, they attract the right guru at the right time when I am ready, attract the teacher, and the teacher walks into our life. But the first step has to be done from our side. So I go on developing the great qualities. I go on making my mind more subtle, more pure, all of those type of things. The teacher will come into our life. That happens by itself. When the teacher comes, I will know also. Now, with regard to this, there are several types of teachers. You have to be very clear about this. We have different types of gurus in our life. So one type of guru is called, two most important for people in this Vedantic field. One type of teacher is called as Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru means one who initiates me. Diksha means initiation. So Diksha Guru is one who initiates me on the path, or initiates me with a mantra, initiates me into some discipline. That's called an initiation. Okay, Diksha Guru. The other is called as Shiksha Guru. Shiksha means the guru who teaches, and in this case, Shiksha means Atma Gyan for us, for Vedanti. Shiksha means Atma Gyan, the one who teaches me about my identity with the absolute reality. So Diksha Guru is one who initiates, and Shiksha Guru is one who teaches me Atma Gyan. Now I may not have both at the same time. I may at some point in my life have a Diksha Guru, and later on I really meet a Shiksha Guru, one who teaches me Shastra, Upanishads. So that will come all by itself. Both actually will come all by itself. We just have to have patience and develop all the great qualities which are given in scripture, which we are talking about today also. All right. Now time is gone. Okay. What we can do is, if you all can write your questions, I will be able to answer them in our next session. If you write them down and send them by, there's so many media you can send, right? Send them to us. I can deal with them in the next session. Okay. Okay. Well, let me thank all of you for joining and being part of this first lecture this morning. It is morning, very early morning here in Trinidad. Those of you who are in Ghana, it will be like 11:30 or something. So it's almost midday. We are still waking up here. So good morning to all of you, and we'll see again in our next session on Sunday next. Okay. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.